We are back, people. What is up? How y'all doing? It's been a while since I've streamed. Been posting videos still, but just haven't streamed. Good to be back. Going over the Dolphins Bills game today. I know you guys did the offensive film breakdown earlier. I'll have the defensive film breakdown out tomorrow. Obviously the season hasn't gone how we wanted to, but I do feel better after this game than I have in the past. I think, expectations dropped. Dolphins performed probably better than expected, kept that game pretty close. At least it was exciting to watch. Probably the best performance the Dolphins had against the Bills in a very long time. Specifically, offensively, I thought it was Tua's best game versus the Bills. McDaniel's best game maybe ever. So just lots of things to like about it. But yeah, we'll get in here, just chill, talk ball once people get in here. Girth confirmed. Season is not going girthy. What a great first chat. It is true. It's not going girthy. Always disappointing when that happens, huh? But yeah. I posted this video on Twitter. Actually, it almost has 400 likes on Twitter, but surprisingly, I usually don't post that much on Twitter. But here, the Tua video, also in my offensive film breakdown. But look at the one. It was one of the few times where he got pressure pretty quickly. Robert Jones gets beat very fast, so he's got pressure in his face. Look when he's getting ready to release this. He starts his release now. Tyreek's right here. He's manipulating. Look where his eyes, his body, his whole body is pointing to throwing in this area of the field. So he moves this linebacker and then throws it back to right where he just was to hit Tyreek down the middle. Just, damn, that's such a high level play. Definitely one of my favorite things that he's able to do. Hey, Ryder, we root for wins in my house, even the draft pick could be higher. Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm at technically, what are they, 2-6 now? 2-6. I think you can get in the playoffs at 10-7, so you could probably really only afford one more loss. They do have the easiest schedule in the league. That's the sad part about the season is, if you look at the last 3 weeks, Bills game, very winnable, probably should have won if you didn't fumble. The Cardinals game, also very winnable, probably should have won. We were up at least 2 scores in the fourth quarter, but you threw the game away there. Defense struggled in both of those games. Colts game, you definitely lost because you had 2 fumbles. If one of them didn't happen, you would have won that as well. You also didn't have Tua for a handful of games. If you had Tua, you probably beat the Titans. Just so many wins that they could have had. I know you could also argue they could have lost to the Jaguars in week 1. Potentially the Patriots. If Tua played, they beat the Patriots. It kind of just starts with the next game. You have the Rams game, which will be tough. But after the Rams game, they kind of have some winnable ones playing the Raiders and Patriots. So I guess they could get to 5-6. It wouldn't surprise me if they beat the Rams if they end up being 5-6. But I do think the Rams will be a tough game, especially playing in LA, and they've been playing better football. Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for wins. Season's, never over. I don't have high hopes anymore. But I do think this Dolphins game gave me this game versus the Bills. If they play like this the rest of the season offensively, I feel at least we're going to get to watch fun football, because this offensive performance was very encouraging because they were able to do it in a different way. One, it was versus a top team in Buffalo. In Buffalo, it wasn't like it was perfect weather. It was, a little colder. It wasn't cold. But it was in Buffalo, enemy territory. And they came out with a game plan to commit to the run, not push the ball super far down the field over and over again, trying to, force things. They played smart football. The second half is when they started to do more things when the Bills had to respect it. They just took what the defense gave them. And I feel for them to still put up 27 with that type of performance is probably the most encouraging thing I've seen from the offense in a while, because the offense usually when they'd have big performances was a lot of big plays, a lot of big chunks, and a lot of Tua's best games are usually like that. But I thought this was his best game considering how he played it differently. At least his best game in a while. Not his best game ever, but one of his best games in a while considering what he was being asked to do. We were in the playoffs 11-6. I think, 10-7 should get you a wild card spot, and you're currently 2-6. So you'd probably have to win out besides one. If you look at all the spots. But that's obviously a very tough ask. I'm not going to be rooting for losses, but if that's what ends up happening, I guess you at least get a higher draft pick. I love the draft, but I don't think this is the best draft to have a top 10 pick in. Even though there's a lot of names I do like this time around. But yeah. Do you see this team getting better next season, or is potential of regression because of age too unavoidable? I think, Fabio, to answer your question, I think that very much depends on the offs. Like, it's hard to predict. I think the Dolphins are in a tough spot, but this, I think, as I just mentioned, the draft is like the biggest thing. Can they hit on the draft? They need to hit on, like, they have the most draft picks. I think they have like 11 draft picks next year. So it's the most they've had in a long time. Like, it's more than they've had. Like, if you combine the last two drafts, it's more draft picks than this one. So they need to hit on those guys, and they need to hit on them early. Like, they need to be early successes, I think. Because I think they do need to do a little bit. I think it depends. I don't know what they're going to do yet in the offseason. If they're going to fire a bunch of people, if they're going to full on reset. I don't expect them to. But if they do, I think they could. I wouldn't be surprised if they do like a semi reset. Like, they kind of get rid of some of the older guys. But with how they built the team, I still feel like they're going to try to win now. I think it just depends on how well they draft. I don't know if they're going to be able to add too much outside of the draft. Plus, sometimes you get better or get worse without even changing too much. It kind of just depends on, sometimes people get improved in a new system. The opponents you face, the flow of a season, that can just change things. Because, like, even though the Dolphins haven't looked very good and the record showcases that, the record could also be very different. And, but yeah. Do you think they're going to buy or sell before the deadline? Honestly, I don't think they're going to do either. And I saw a report that they're actually more likely to be buyers, but I don't know how true that is going to be. I think if the Dolphins make a move, whether it's buy or sell, I don't think it will be much. I think it would be like if they buy, it would be for like a late round pick type of player, like 6th or 7th. Then if they sold, I think it would be like maybe selling a guy for a 6th or a 7th that they don't see a ton of value in for the rest of the season, because I still feel like they're going to try to win. So, to me, I don't think they're going to just give up completely, because I don't think the coach and GM feel super stable, like they're guaranteed to be. I don't think the only way they would be sellers if they thought they were guaranteed to be here next year, which they are not at this current point in the season. But that's kind of just how I see it. But yeah, I do think what you said, Fabio, because of age, the Dolphins definitely need to get younger. That's why I think the draft is so key. That's why I haven't loved exactly. That's why I think building through the draft is so important. That's why these past 3 years, they haven't had a ton of draft picks. They've been adding a lot of free agency. Like, I liked a lot of their free agent acquisitions, but I didn't like how they were trying to get older. And then, like, I didn't love a lot of the big contract extensions they were handing out to a lot of the older veterans. Like, I liked the one to Waddle, because you're trying to keep him long-term, young guy. But, like, I feel like the ones to, like, Tyreek, Ramsey weren't, like, super necessary, because they were still going to be here. You're just paying them more and, like, putting yourself in a tougher spot position-wise, so. Yeah, Chop did get a sack. I'll probably have a Chop video out in the coming days, maybe Wednesday. It was probably his best day as a pass rusher. He had some pressures. He had some wins. He got a sack, which was nice to see. I do think he's been looking slightly better. I still think he has a lot of things to improve upon. But I do got to give him the credit, because I have been seeing slight improvement from game to game. He has been your best pass rusher, really, since, and that's the Dolphins' biggest problem right now, in my opinion. Right now, the biggest problem with the Dolphins is it's hard to be a good defense when you can't create a pass rush with just bringing four. And they really haven't been able to create with, you don't have Phillips, you don't have Chubb, and then you haven't had Sealer the past 2 games either. Those are your best 3 pass rushers. So it puts a lot of pressure on Chap Robinson to get after it, who's been your best edge guy. And then it's like, if Calais Campbell doesn't make a play, like, there's no one else to actually create a pass rush. That's kind of like the biggest problem, I think, with the team right now. And that's why I feel like the Dolphins were really playing in a bend, don't break style defense yesterday. They were trying to just give up a lot of things underneath. That's why Josh Allen was just checking down over and over again. You think he could start really improving the rest of the season reps? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Chop plays better and better as the season goes on, because I said it last week in the Cardinals game. I thought it was like the most promising I saw him, because usually he just goes speed to power every rep, but in the Cardinals game, he had a few wins where he was doing something different, or at least he was trying to do something different. Whether he won or lost the rep, which he won some of them, lost some of them, he was at least trying to mix things up, use different, hand techniques, use different footwork, use different tempo. And that gave me a lot more faith in him. And apparently he's been working with Armstead after practice. So I think that's like the positive sign for him. And I think he'll keep steadily improving. I don't know if I'll see, I don't expect like a big uptick though this year. I still think he needs time. He's still a guy that needs some development. But I do think the reps are good for him. What do we do in the draft? I say we draft D tackle, guard, quarterback, tight end. Yeah, I mean, really, pretty much almost any position. I feel like if you think about it, let's see, not running back. I guess you could target a late round running back, but you're not going to spend anything premium on a running back. I don't see that happening. Same with receiver. Like I think you could spend maybe middle or late on receiver, but I don't think they're going to go premium on receiver unless it's like a top position. I think the tight end class is really good, like really good, like the best it's been in a while. I think if you don't come out of this class with one of those tight ends like Gunnar Helm, Tyler Warren, Fannin from Bowling Green, Colston Loveland from Michigan, and there's some other guys that are pretty good too. I think you made a mistake because the tight end class is really good. I don't know where the Dolphins will be picking in the draft, obviously. I really like Malachi Starks, and I think safety is a bigger need than people are thinking because, one, Jordan Poyer and Marcus May, not been playing good. Poyer's been one of your worst players. May was really bad this last game. And then Holland is also technically a free agent. Even if you re-sign Holland, you don't really have... The only safety, I think, on the roster is McMorris next year, pretty much. So safety is a bigger need than people think. So like a Malachi Starks in the first round, if it's good value, maybe. I think there's some safeties in the class that are pretty good too. Obviously, O-line, D-line will always be a big need. It will be for the Dolphins. I don't see them going after edge necessarily because I think you'll get Phillips back. They drafted Chop. They have Kamara who they'll try to develop. Who knows what happens with Chubb. I feel like they might move on from him. But I don't think they're going to spend premium on edge. They could go after edge. I'm trying to think of other positions. I think off-ball linebacker will be a big need. You'll have Jordan Brooks, but after Jordan Brooks, like Long's a free agent, Anthony Walker's free agent, and Long and Walker have been struggling. I think Brooks has been pretty solid for them. But outside of that linebacker, your linebackers have been rough. So linebacker could be a target, but I think that could be a free agency thing. Kind of depends. RB1 Achane, RB2 right, RB3 Omarion. Yeah, the only thing is I think Hampton will go like day 2, and I don't think the Dolphins have the luxury to take a day 2 running back this year. But Hampton is a good player. You think they could get it? Yeah, developmental QB. QB is definitely a position. I think whether they say they restarted just completely restarted. They fired the GM, fired the head coach. I wouldn't be surprised if the new guy wanted to just completely start over at QB. But say they didn't even do that. Like say they keep McDaniel, keep Tua, which I think is what is going to happen. I still think you should try to get developmental QB in here just because you need a backup that's at least somewhat decent. I don't think it should be a round 1 guy. Personally, I don't think the round 1 guys are that worth it. Unless you're picking super high and you think this is your only chance to get that top QB. I think a lot of guys will be there on day 2 that are potentially decent players, or at least decent prospects that you could take a swing on, or you just get a high-end veteran maybe. But I do think a backup developmental QB, potentially round 2, round 3, if there's someone that you like, thinks a good scheme fit that they could go after, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I don't know if it's a guaranteed. You think defensive tackle is a big need because you really only have Sealer. D tackle could be a nice for sure. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm missing something. Best tight end in college. It's tough to say, man. They're all really good. Let me look at I can pull up the 1 second here. Let me pull up tight ends list. So PFF has Colston Loveland. I haven't watched every tight end in the class, so it's tough to rank them. Loveland's obviously good. There's Tyler Warren. Warren's a dog. Oronde Gadsden II. Interesting. Former Dolphins player's son from Syracuse. Harold Finnan Jr. Mason Taylor, who's the son of Jason Taylor from LSU. He's an interesting guy. I really like Gunnar Helm from Texas. I think Gunnar Helm from Texas is going to be an underrated guy. That's going to go... is going to be one of the top tight ends. I don't know if he's number 1, but he's up there. I really like Gunnar Helm and Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end. Harold Fannin is more like a Jonnu Smith type. I think Helm and Warren would be able to play more of like that wide tight end role. So if you teamed one of them up with like Jonnu Smith, that'd be an interesting combination. But yeah, let me see. What else do you guys say? Jalen Mulrow or Quinn Ewers? If it's day 2, maybe. But I don't know. I think it depends. It's so hard to say with not knowing what the future is with people here. Do you think we should sign Javon Holland? I probably lean like 60% yes right now, but it's too early to. That's just me guessing, though. Do you think they trade guys like Mustard who don't have much left in them? You both, yeah. And do you don't know if you mentioned it yet, or do you think it's time to let Wright take almost all of Mostert snaps? The sad thing with the Mostert thing is, man, he was actually playing good versus Buffalo too. Like, I don't think he doesn't have anything left. I think he actually still has, for his age, has a decent amount left in the tank. His problem is the fumbling. Like, he was playing good yesterday. He had that one nice catch. He had a few long runs. Even that run itself before the fumble was a good play. It's just his fumbling has been a huge issue. Yes, I do believe Jalen Wright should start to get more and more touches. I don't know if he should take all of his snaps. I do think he should still be a part of the rotation. But if he's going to keep fumbling, I do think there is like a, hold him accountable a little bit, at least for like a game or two, being like, hey, we're going to ride with Achane and Wright in this game and give you some goal line touches. Because I think Mostert's actually been very effective in the goal line when he's gotten those touches. But just Achane's been so good. And then Wright hasn't had a chance. Wright didn't do too much versus Buffalo in his carries, but his carries before that have been very, very good. First round has to be O-line, D-line, or DB. Yeah, I mean, I don't like to like guarantee positions because sometimes there's just a way better player at a different position. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's O-line, D-line, or DB because usually there's a lot of like high-end players at those positions. Free agents might end up leaving holes at guard and safety. Hey, and I want to give the O-line credit though. The O-line was phenomenal yesterday. Armstead has been amazing. Brewer has been amazing. I know people were doubting that signing. That one was probably the best signing in the offseason so far. He's really good. I knew he would be a great fit for the scheme in the running game. Like, that's not surprising to me at all. But he's been even better in pass protection than expected because the scheme just makes it easier for guys like him. But Brewer's been really good. So shout out Brewer. Jackson has had his problems as a pass protector, but was amazing run blocking yesterday. And then Robert Jones and Liam weren't perfect yesterday, but they did their jobs in the running game. So shout out to the O-line because they really haven't been the problem. The running game's been really good for weeks now. So yeah, shout out for that at least. You'll see Chris Brooks with the Packers. Yeah, I made a video on Chris Brooks. He was playing significant snaps for them last couple weeks. So that's, I mean, good for him. Obviously, I would have loved to keep Brooks, but Dolphins just have a stacked running back room, so. Oh, no, I agree, Nicholas. The fumbling's a huge issue. I would love to see, like, it was the reason we lost the Colts game and a big reason they lost the Bills game outside of, defensive stuff. What about Tyler Booker? I hope we draft him. Yeah, I see the Alabama guard, right? Correct. Let me check. Yeah, Alabama guard. I haven't watched film on him yet. I am aware of who he is, so I don't really have an opinion on whether we should draft him or not. I feel like Calais has been the best so far. Calais has been very good as well. I just think I feel like a lot of people expected Calais to be good. I don't think a lot of people are expecting Brewer to be good. Brewer's just been like lights out, and Brewer plays every snap. Calais plays like 60% of the snaps. That's kind of why I just said Brewer, but yeah. Either Brewer, Calais, John, who's been very good. Jordan Brooks hasn't been bad either. Even Fuller hasn't been too bad. Like, the free agent signings, for the most part, have actually been pretty decent. It's just a lot of issues all around. Mostert's fumbling issues are avoidable. I mean, they're definitely avoidable. It's just, it's something he's always struggled with, so I don't know if it will get better. when he protects the ball, it's just sometimes he gets loose with it. What is your opinion of Smith's play yesterday? Are you talking about Jonnu, Theo? Tua mid, okay. Chris Riggs is tough. Such a tough. Had a chance to win game. Much from a tough drive, and she didn't need 12 targets a week. 5, not dump over. Okay, but need deep ones. I understand why people think like. I think for this specific, like, yes, usually you need to be targeting more down the field with Tyreek and Waddle, but for the game specifically versus Buffalo, I thought the game plan was like ideal, and they targeted them like the perfect amount. You didn't need to force the ball down the field. When they've tried doing that before, it hasn't worked out. So I don't know if I really agree. You need to just force the ball down the field to them. It was a very smart game plan from McDaniel to keep that game close, because when they've gone differently, it's Cam Smith. Yeah, it was not a good Cam Smith day. He got 2 penalties on that one drive. They didn't end up mattering because I think that drive led to a field goal. The first one he held, the second one was a bad penalty for sure. Like, he just held him for no reason. The first one he held, but like Matt Collins was pushing him, like clearly pushing offensive pass interference. So like, to me, it should have been pass interference on both of them. And then he was in good position on that final Keon Coleman play, but Poyer penalized him. To me, Cam Smith is going to have his growing pains, but he hasn't really played yet. So to me, I would continue to give him some snaps and work while the season's, not looking that great, and see what you have of him. Because I think that's kind of if Cam Smith can show you something, I think not having to be like super worried about corner next season is something. Because you should still have Ramsey and Fleur for next season as well, but after that, you're starting to get pretty old at corner. You're probably trying to add there. You do have some young guys. It's not like corner's the biggest need or problem on the team. I think the corners would also get help. I think the biggest problem with the corner room right now is the edges aren't getting a ton of pressures. I think we need Weaver to get more aggressive with the blitz. I mean, he has been pretty aggressive. I feel like some people have been pretty harsh on Weaver the past couple weeks. Like, yeah, the defense needs to be better for sure. But like, I feel like it was more to do to the talent than the scheme, because he was bringing blitzes and they would get to Allen and then they would just miss. And when they didn't bring blitzes, they didn't get any pressure because you don't have Phillips or Bradley Chubb or Zach Sealer. Like, no, Josh Allen had all day, and Bills have a good O-line. So it was a tough game. Dun, dun. One word: demoralizing. Yeah, I mean, Rams game will be tough. I mean, if you beat the Rams, then I guess because you do, then I think play the Raiders and Patriots, which I think the Dolphins should win both of them with Tua. And I think they're both home games. The Rams game will be the tough one. You lose a Ram game, then you're at 7 losses, and that means you'd have to win out to even have a chance at the playoffs. But I guess if you beat the Rams, you could see I see a world where the Dolphins win 3 in a row if they beat the Rams. Just because it goes Raiders, Patriots, and then after the Patriots, it's either the Packers or the Jets. It's those 2 teams are next, but I can't remember who's first. And those are definitely not gimmies. But yeah. I just want to show this play again because this was the play I posted on Twitter, which, I mean, kind of went all over Dolphins Twitter, surprisingly. Sometimes the tweets just catch on, This was still my favorite play of Tua's game. Robert Jones loses pretty quickly right here. So he's got pressure in his face. He's about to get crushed. And look at him just manipulate this linebacker with his eyes. Look at him getting ready to release this, where Tyreek is. So the anticipation, manipulation, his whole body language is pointing that he's going to throw the ball here. And then just boom, right where 42 just was. That's just what Tua does better than, like, these are the little things Tua does that sometimes people don't notice that is just better than most quarterbacks in the NFL. He has a very interesting skill set because his skill set is just so different from most of the quarterbacks. And I think it's hard for people to grasp because obviously there's some things that Tua is limited in. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. But the things he does very well, he does at the top end of the league, like things like that. And those kind of things, I think, just go unnoticed at times. Let me see. Yeah, Packers. Yeah, it is Packers. Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, it's Thanksgiving. That's right. They play the Rams Monday night, and then they play, I think, 2 home games: Patriots, Raiders first, then Patriots. Which I think they should win both of those games. To be honest, especially if their offense is playing like they have the past 2 weeks, I think they win those games. Then they play the Packers in Green Bay, which will be a tough one. Green Bay is playing pretty well. That'll be a tough game to win for sure. And then after that's the Jets. I think they play like Jets. I know they have like they play the Jets twice. They play the Niners, the Browns. It's really not like apparently it's the easiest schedule like statistically left in the NFL. If only the Dolphins were able to pull off some of these wins the past few weeks that they should have won, they would actually be in a decent spot to make like the wild card. But now they're in a very tough spot. Achane is there a pass rusher you'd like the Dolphins to trade for? No, I mean, I just don't think they should be buyers. Like, I'm not saying to give up and be sellers, but I just don't think there's a pass rusher they should be trying to. I think they should save as many draft picks as possible, unless someone would come for like super cheap. Like if they got Ojolari from the Giants for like super cheap, I'd be down. But I don't know if that's like the case. Achane is going to be a superstar. Trollway, he might already be a superstar. Achane is a baller, man. I love Achane. Yeah, Nicholas Achane's already superstar. Duck over Cam Smith. Yeah, I wouldn't even mind seeing Bonner play some as well. Just seeing what the young DBs got. So you already know what you have in Ramsey and Fuller. You've kind of missed Kohu the past couple of weeks because Kohu was actually playing pretty solid before he got injured. That was a dot and a great play by Tua, but he also missed on some plays downfield. I mean, I only think he really missed on one throw, and that was that deep ball to Tyreek, but they still completed it for, like 30 yards. And I think it wasn't that he missed it. I talked about it in my video. I don't think it wasn't that he, I don't think it was, I think he thought it was cover 2, and he was trying to put it back shoulder, but he didn't recognize it was cover 3. So I think he missed his read, not the throw necessarily. But either way, it was I think a play that he would like back, whether he missed the read or the throw, Hold on. But I think the thing, Hoffman, is like QBs have missed, like the top QBs have misses like that, more than misses like that every week. So, and for him not to be like his only miss was a completed 30-yard pass, was just a really, I think, one of Tua's most efficient games ever, where he didn't like try to force too much stuff, and he was like processing a super high level. Yeah, and one was a throwaway on a blow-up screen. Yeah, it was an RPO that he had to throw away, and then his other incompletion was the throw to Tyreek that hit Tyreek in the chest, and he was probably getting PI'd. I believe those were what were the 3 incompletions? It was one on the first drive, the one to Tyreek on 3rd down. It hit him in the chest, but it was tight coverage. One on the RPO. And I can't remember what the other one was. But who knows? Any word on Mo Kamara? I think he played like 5 snaps last week, so not too much to talk about with Mo at this point. I do hope he gets some time at some point, though. Texans, 49ers, and Packers is not easy. Yeah. It's listed as the easiest schedule left, though. I do think, though, it's because the Texans haven't been playing as good, so it's not like it's the toughest game. And the Niners also, like, record-wise aren't as good, but, like, those are still tough games. Yeah, Finn should be able to score on the Rams. I have to watch more Rams films, though, to be sure. You think making a deal for Max Crosby would be possible? I highly doubt it. Play to Janu. Yeah, was it a play to Janu? Yeah. Poyer penalty. Yeah, Poyer's been rough. The safety position. Honestly, once the Dolphins, I think, if they lose 2 more games, I would like to see them activate McMorris off IR and just have McMorris play and see what you got from the kid, the rookie. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind playing Elijah Campbell over like May or Poyer at some point either. But yeah. Obviously, Holland's still out with the injury. I think he should be There's a decent chance he's back next week, but who knows? CMC should be back by the time we face the Niners. Yeah, that is true, but I'm not. It is. I don't know if he'll be 100. Because he has some like Achilles thing, right? But he is obviously a problem. But they just haven't. They also don't have Ayuk for the rest of the season. Yes, Duke Chop. He registered. He got a full sack yesterday on Allen. I think it was the only sack of the game. Yeah, the Rams' offense will be the problem. But yeah, was honestly, I was much more disappointed after the Colts and Cardinals game, just because I feel like my expectations were probably lower for the Bills game, and I thought like pretty much the offense did exactly what I wanted them to for this specific game. They played it smart. They committed to the run. They played it conservative, and then once the defense, they forced the Bills defense to play a little more aggressive. Then they started hitting some more shots down the field. And I saw some things in there that I think, like if you watch my video, I don't have a video clip of it pulled up right now, but the Dolphins ran stick and nod a few times throughout the game. Tyreek ran it like 3 times. Waddle ran it once. And there was potential there. But like either like one of the plays, Tua got sacked on. One of the plays, Tua got pressured. He had to check it down. Another play, he was looking at the other side of the field. It was all it was completed, so it didn't matter that he didn't go there. But there was some stick and nod routes where like it was just the out and up from the slot that I haven't seen the Dolphins run before, and they ran it like 4 or 5 times in the game. They didn't throw it, but that's something to keep an eye on, I think, for future games, because it's a nice little wrinkle the Dolphins might have added. Yeah, Chop definitely looks like he's been trending up, so got to give him some credit. If they lose 2 more games, they should play every rookie/practice squad guy we got. No point getting started without a chance to playoffs. Yeah, I mean, definitely once you get later in the season. It just depends, but because I guess you technically could get in at 9 and 8, but I think 3 losses for sure. But once you have like 2 losses, you definitely start to get some young guys some reps. I'm not saying like bench some starters, but like once you get 2 losses, like start getting these guys some playing time. Start playing Kamara. Start giving Malik Washington. And I will say Malik Washington has been doing some dirty work. I feel like Washington and Eskridge have both been pretty solid as returners. I got to give him credit there. And then Washington's been putting in work as a blocker. He also had a nice little reverse end around last game for 9 yards. So hoping to see more from him as well. But I like the dirty work he's been putting in. And you got to be able to do that stuff to get playing time in the Dolphin system. Yeah, I thought they were going to get blown out. Yeah, I was low-key. I don't know why. I had a feeling it would be closer just because maybe the Bills... Just because how the Dolphins played the Cardinals, I was like, if they used a similar game plan, I actually think the Dolphins could keep it relatively close. Like offensively, I thought they could do a decent job. I just didn't know how the defense would hold up. And the defense, obviously, was kind of the reason you lost, but they held up at least enough to keep it close for the most part. But yeah, I also think maybe, the Bills weren't as hyped up going into this game because usually it's like a big game where it's like, wow, this game means so much to win the division. Maybe it didn't mean as much for them. What position you want to draft first in next year's draft? I mean, I don't want to lose out, but I mean, it's great to always have a top 10 pick if you are losing games, but I'm not going to like root for that. But I also don't think this is the best draft to have a top 10 pick in, but I also don't think it's the best first round draft. Like, I don't think there's a ton of first round graded players in this draft. There might only be like 15. So if you are going to have a pick, I mean, it might as well be high. Wait, I just realized you a Bruins fan? Me? I'm not a Bruins fan. Which Bruins are you talking about? Let me see. A Chance Monster. Washington looks fast. Like pretty good. Just came out short. Got to stop fumbling. Really, yeah. We lead the league in fumbles. Fumbles have lost us at least 2 games. Fumbling did win us the Jaguars game though. BPA, maybe trade back. Oh yeah, I'm a BPA guy. Best player available. That's why I don't get too stuck up on like we have to draft this position, because I feel like if you do that, you hurt yourself in a lot of situations. Now, is it great when it's like, ooh, best player available is positions of need? Yes. But I think if it's close, then you lean position of need. But if it's like clear, like, hey, this player is the best player, you go best player available. Oh no, Abby. I was like, oh, okay. Gotcha. Oh yeah, I can kind of see the Abby of Abby. The avatar. OBJ was frustrated, Sonny. Yeah, I think the biggest problem with OBJ is he's just a victim of circumstance. He was brought in for a very specific scenario on 3rd downs when Waddle and Tyreek would get double teamed last year. I think the Dolphins still expected to be doing the stuff they were doing last year, but now they've kind of changed up what they've been doing, being more of a run-first team, running more basic concepts. So they haven't really, and also OBJ's only really played 2 games with Tua. So I think it's more of just like necessarily that OBJ has just been horrible. I mean, he has been great, but like it's just the circumstances he hasn't been needed. Because like we've been barely giving targets out to our main guys, you know. Did it? Yeah, but I think the thing with I don't know if I agree that I mean, there's obviously games where Tyreek needs to be more involved, but I don't like the last 2 weeks. I don't think Tyreek needed the ball more. I think the Dolphins did exactly what they needed to do. Was there maybe one play where they could have hit bigger to Tyreek? Sure, but like they still targeted it. It just didn't end up working out. Or, I mean, the problem last year, according to a lot of fans, was they targeted Tyreek too much. I feel like they've actually found a pretty good balance. And then there will be games where the defense plays like, hey, we got to stop the run more. We got to get down. And then we can start hitting those deep shots to Tyreek. So I actually think the Dolphins are doing the game plan pretty well right now, just because for 2 years straight, it was Tyreek, Waddle, Tyreek, Waddle, Tyreek, Waddle, one run, Tyreek, Waddle, Tyreek, Waddle, Tyreek. And then teams just like double team them, play over the top. They play with such depth. Obviously, I'm not saying to ignore them, but like if they're getting a bunch of attention, why not, you know, continue to do what's working? Do you think they would have won more games with Mike White? No, I don't think so, honestly. I guess they could have, but I don't really think so. They had 1 target in the second half versus Cards, 2 targets versus the Colts. Yeah, but if you watch the game, it made sense. They were running the ball like they literally ran for like 10 plus yards so many times versus the Colts, and the Colts were doubling the heck out of Tyreek. And we had Tyler Huntley at quarterback. Do I think he could have got more an extra target or 2 in the second half versus the Cardinals? Sure, but they were moving the ball every drive. It wasn't like he needed the targets. I just don't think that's really the problem with the offense at all right now. Like if they were struggling and Tyreek wasn't getting targets, I'd be like, yeah, just target the heck out of him. The offense has been pretty good when he's actually been getting less targets. And I'm sure there will be games we'll get back to where Tyreek gets 10 plus targets. It's just these games recently haven't called for it. Same with getting Waddle targets too. Like Waddle needs some more targets times as well, but just how the game plays out. Bro, do you know who Tyreek Hill is? Do I? Yes. What? Of course I know who Tyreek Hill is. Yeah, but the quarterback in the Colts game was Tyler Huntley. He couldn't throw the ball. Like, I feel like if we tried to target Tyreek more in that game, it actually would have been even worse for us. Like we probably would have not even moved the ball because we would have put ourselves in poor situations to run the ball because Huntley couldn't complete a pass. I don't know. I'm just watching the game, and the games are going, I think, how the Dolphins have planned. And I'm sure, like the Rams game, if the Rams play a little more aggressive defensively, they invite you to throw the ball, then I'm sure Tyreek Hill will get 12 targets. Yeah, Huntley was rough. Huntley was rough. I think that was just a very rare occasion for Tyreek and Waddle just to get like no targets in that game because the Colts have a horrible run defense and the Dolphins could run the ball and Huntley couldn't throw it. But yeah. Chan, dog. Yeah. I mean, I'll be watching the rest of the season. I'll have more film breakdowns out this week. Really hoping they start to get more of the young guys involved. Hopefully the Dolphins can get a win sometime soon. That'd be great. I can just see the effect. Like, I can tell a lot of people have checked on the season just from looking at like my channel analytics. You know. At least that Bills game was fun. Like, that was the best the Dolphins have looked at the Bills versus the Bills in a long time, in my opinion. And this is probably the worst Dolphin season they've had since, under McDaniel, but they actually played the game fairly well. So it is weird that they looked that well offensively, considering how the season's gone. But yeah, same. I agree. Even Eskridge has looked pretty solid in his limited play. You think we can expose this Rams secondary? Yeah, I think the Rams defense definitely has areas to attack. I'm gonna watch their film and like see what's up with them. I know. I think they have some weaknesses in the secondary. I think their best pass rushers up front are rookies, and I don't know how they are. I don't think they have the best linebacker group, and I think on offense, their O-line is definitely their biggest weakness. So maybe that allows the Dolphins to actually get some pressure because their O-line isn't that good, but we'll see. They obviously have very good weapons. Kyron Williams, a pretty good running back. Puka, Nakua, Cooper Kupp, very good. They have some Robinsons playing pretty good. Tutu Atwell's playing pretty good for them. So they have weapons. Stafford is amazing at quarterback. It'll be a very fun game. I don't think McVay and McDaniel have gone against each other, right? I don't think they've matched up yet, and that they're both from the Shanahan tree, so that should be interesting. But yeah. Waddle, my goat time has passed. Waddle blocks elite as hell, but never gets rewarded. Hey, at least he got a touchdown yesterday. Had negative yards because of that last play where he ran backwards like 24 yards, but at least he got a touchdown. Waddle's still a dog. Don't let just because some people out there will like try to downplay players just because they haven't been as productive in recent times. It's just how the offense is needed to function with how teams are playing against Tyreek and Waddle. They've gotten so much attention. They've had to function this offense in a different way. And it's hurt their production, but they're both very, very good players still, obviously. Yeah, I hope Chop has been the best pass rusher over the past few weeks, so hopefully he can get something. Yeah. Yeah, I used to live in Southern California, and I used to work for a catering company. I used to literally work at a catering company that catered for the Rams. So I've been in that Rams facility at CLU many of times, and I know I've met a lot of those Rams players. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the Rams guys. Jared Goff, when he was there, he's a big Mayo guy because I was there when Jared Goff was there at least for a year. But yeah. I mean, Waddle did have big plays because he had the touchdown, and his other catch was that out route on third down, which was like one of the bigger plays. See. Yeah, you guys got any more questions about anything? Hopefully Ramsey has a big game versus the Rams. Nice little revenge game. That'd be nice. I think the biggest thing the Dolphins should have going for them against the Rams is while Stafford is very good, he is the least mobile quarterback they faced in weeks. So that means you should be able to blitz him a little more effectively. Like if you get to him, you should be able to sack him, and they have a bad offensive line. So the Bills and Cardinals have really good offensive lines, and that was kind of the biggest problem I think the Dolphins had in those games. They surprisingly stopped the run pretty well. Like you expected them not to stop the run, but they actually stopped the run decent. They just couldn't get after the quarterback, and when they did get after the quarterback, Kyler Murray and Josh Allen would escape the pocket because they were athletic. So I think that's kind of the biggest selling point you have for the defense this week is they can probably get after the quarterback more, and when they do get to him, they should be able to bring him down. It's just Stafford's very good at getting the ball out. He's very smart, lots of arm talent. He's just a very good player, but he's much less athletic than Kyler and Allen and even Richardson. So I hope to see some blitzes that we can actually get after the quarterback this week and bring him down because we've gotten to them. They just haven't finished. That's why I haven't been too critical of Weaver these past 2 weeks because I feel like we had a lot of blitzes where they're right after their quarterback and they just missed the sack. Especially versus Kyler. They missed a lot of sacks on Kyler. I missed the live. Did you talk about Mostert? Talked about Mostert for a little bit. Yeah, we talked about, the fumbling being probably the biggest issue. I mean, it was probably the reason we lost 2 games this season, the Colts and the Bills game. I mean, I don't know if it's the main reason. It's the reason they lost the Colts game because they fumbled twice, Mostert and Ingold. It's one of the reasons they lost the Bills game. Definitely a big swing point in that game. And I do think, outside of the fumbles, Mostert has played well. But I do think cutting into some of his playing time, not completely benching him, but getting right more looks, maybe have Mostert be more of a red zone guy would be good for him. And honestly, with how the season is, might as well just see what you get out of Jalen Wright if you feed him a bunch of times. See what the Wright and Achane duo has for, a game. No, don't blitz Stafford. He blitzes up. Well, whether we blitz or don't blitz, no, but Stafford is very good versus the blitz at getting the ball out. That is true. I'm just saying if we actually get to him with the blitz, we've gotten to the quarterbacks with the blitz, we should actually get him down. But yeah, Stafford did eat up the Vikings defense with blitzes. You think Weaver's team / bitches have been pretty good? I actually don't think they've been that. If you look at the season as a whole, I think it's been pretty solid. Hasn't been a main issue of mine. I think the defense's problem right now is talent because of injuries and execution. Less so scheme. The scheme could be better in certain situations, but I just feel like they're missing a lot of talent in a lot of spots, and they've actually made up for it in certain areas. They stopped the run better than I've expected recently, and then there was a stretch where they were stopping the pass better than I expected recently. Chop did get one, Derek. Finally. And Mostert didn't film. Yeah, that was a huge swing point because it looked like the Dolphins were going to drive in to score. Probably at least get a field goal attempt, potentially a touchdown. But yeah, the Dolphins' biggest defensive problem recently has just been pressure on quarterback. They haven't been able to get it. Chop's been the only one that's had some pressures, but he hasn't. And even then, if he hasn't gotten pressure, Campbell might get 1 or 2. But outside of that, it's every drop back they have all day. What's the occasion? Honestly, I just hadn't gone live in a while. My hair is crazy. Kinda. Yeah, it's a little bit up. Would you get off Chubb's contract in the offseason? Probably. I would wait to see what we could do with that money, but I'm guessing they are going to, just looking at the cap situation at this point. But yeah, that would be my guess, yes. How do you feel about all of Olave's concussions? I mean, I hope he's good. I know it doesn't get as much coverage as the whole Tua thing, but he's had a lot of concussions. And he's had a lot recently because he's had, at least 2 in the past few weeks. And then he had another one where he got hit hard. I don't know if he got diagnosed with one, but I mean, hope he's good because he's been getting some hospital balls thrown to him. Right, are you the only guy who's giving Brewers flowers? I wouldn't say the only, but maybe one of the only. I know. I saw, who was it? Kyle Krabs grinding the tape. He was on Brewer. He's been giving Brewer flowers. I think someone else was as well. Another content creator. I can't remember who it was. But yeah, I was big on Brewer. Brewer's been lighting it up. Shout out Aaron Brewer. Shout out Brewer. Shout out Armstead. Been playing elite football. Well, Armstead's been playing elite. Brewer's been playing very good. The whole line played good last week. Our last game versus the Bills last week. Whatever. If we beat the Rams, I think we get to 6-6. I was saying if we beat the Rams, we probably win 3 in a row. So it would be 5-6. I guess you could beat the Packers, whatever. But if you beat the Rams, I think you also beat the Raiders and Patriots. So I guess that would put you kind of back into things, but you would have some tough games to win, and you could only really afford to lose one. Now you're the only YouTube person who hasn't cried and blamed the O-line the whole season. Well, there is the O-line coach. I think his name's Eric Smith. He's been fairly positive about the O-line. And it's not like the O-line's been perfect. It's just like for what they're asked to do, I feel like they've been pretty decent overall. There's been games where Jones has been bad. There's been games where Liam's been bad. But like overall, Armstead's been very good. Brewer's been very consistent. Jackson's been very good run blocking. And they've all executed in the run game. I just don't think the O-line has been. I feel like a lot of fans after each game like blame the O-line. I don't feel like they've been that big of an issue, other than maybe like one or two games they were like a main issue in, you know. 0-9 fins up. So you are not trading Agba to the Lions? I mean, if they want to give us something decent for him, sure. If it's just like a 7th round pick, I mean, might as well just keep Agba. If it was like a 5th, I mean, Agba has a torn bicep, and it's like he's made some impact plays, but it's not like he's really created anything as a pass rusher, like by himself. So like, I'm not against, I guess that, but if you were just kind of, you know, tossing it away, but I don't really see them, making moves unless it's something small. I don't think the Lions want Agba. Yeah. You know, hey, I'll say this though. When you have a rough season, at least draft season usually ends up being fun because the Dolphins will have a lot of picks and they should have a potentially high pick. And if they don't have a potentially high pick, that means they turned the season around. So that means the season became fun again. So that's an optimistic way to look at it. I've been pretty positive on the O-line so far here recently. Yeah. Grinding the tape, yeah. I think he does, yeah, the locked on stuff, right? Or no, he's, I don't know. I forget what the site he does it for. But I think he's been pretty positive. Yeah, locked on Dolphins. Right, you dropped a video. Yeah, I did a video on Jalen Coker. I've done some non-Dolphins videos just because I like doing videos on rookies. That one surprisingly did well. I think it has like 4,000 views on their channel. So sometimes the non-Dolphins one do well. I haven't posted one in a while. It's probably been like a year since I posted some, and I posted like 2 or 3 this week. But they were just like extra videos I had time to make. But yeah, I liked Coker coming out of Holy Cross. Yeah, I saw Locked On Bears. Ryder, would you draft Hampton? I like Hampton from North Carolina. It's just I don't think running back's the biggest need, and I think Hampton's going to go like day 2, and I don't think we should take a day 2 running back. I just think if we take a running back, it should be like a day 3 guy that can be like your 3rd running back of the future. I I feel like you're probably chilling with Achane and Wright with the future of the team, and you might still have Mostert next year as well. Who knows? If I may ask, what do you do for work? Right now, I do. I've been working with this place called Sports Info Solutions (SIS), and I go to the Tennessee games and I gather information for them, things like that. So I'm doing like football work for them. I do some other like football work in the off season. But yeah, YouTube, I guess, also is technically work, but it's just a little bit. You don't mind? Can you tell us about it? I mean, yeah, currently I live in Tennessee. Most all of my related jobs are like internships. I'm doing an internship with some places, scouting and stuff like that. Everything right now is football related. First time in my life where like all my jobs are football related. I don't have like any random part-time job where I'm like, working catering or something like that. Grew up in California, first 24 years of my life. But yeah, now I live in Tennessee. Fins Packer on Turkey Day could be a good one. Yeah. My sister's a Packers fan, so that should be interesting. I lag. No, I'm good, I think. Let me see. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. But yeah. Any questions? Yes, Spike. I believe we should still get, even though Wilkins isn't playing, I think Wilkins got, like, we should still get a third round comp for Wilkins, I believe, because he was, like, so far above other people. Like, sometimes the playing time plays into it. I think Hunt, like, if Robert Hunt sees less playing time, it could potentially fall down to, like, a fourth round pick. But I do believe Wilkins will still be a third round pick. And I think Hunt should also still be a third round pick if he continues to play out the season. Or do you have a plan to give out player and coaches grade for midseason? Not really. I could do something like that. Maybe a video or a stream where I just like maybe talk about what we've seen so far. It's tough though, because obviously the season's not going how you want. The results are not there. You're 2-6. It's going bad. But there, I think from the most recent like game, like they're obviously a little bit down on the defense, but I think it makes sense that the defense is struggling when you just look at the injuries. Not to give them excuses, but like it's kind of what I expected. So I'm not like super down on them. But the offense is playing a lot better, so like there's some positives to take away from it. And they did it in a different way too. It wasn't like the offense was like back to their 2023 form where like they're trying to air it out all down the field. Like they actually played smart, football where they had to convert and run down a team's throat to win a game or to take control of a game, not win it. But yeah, they should get all their comp picks. How about Restrepo? Restrepo is a beast. I love Restrepo. I just don't know if I wouldn't mind taking Restrepo. I just don't know if the Dolphins should be trying to add like a smaller slot guy. They have a lot of those on the roster. But I do like Restrepo as a draft prospect. I think if they add receiver, they should probably add someone with a little more size. Not necessarily like he needs to be like a 6'5" guy, but like, a quality sized guy that can maybe even play as like a big slot. Yeah, I think they'll either have 3 or 4 comp picks. I can't remember if one of them gets wiped out or not by like the Fuller contract maybe, but who knows. Yeah, I think it's 3 or 4 or 7. Yeah, I think they had 4 at one point, but I think that when they signed someone, I think it was Fuller maybe. that like counteracted the AVG one. I think so. Question, writer coach McDaniel is coaching himself out of a job. He finally started to change his scheme. Has he saved his job or too early to tell? I would say it's too early to tell, but he's definitely on the way. I think if he continues the rest of the season, he'll get another chance. Especially, I think the main reason he gets another chance is how they built this team to win now. They're not trying to start over. I think Ross knows that, and I think Ross likes McDaniel. I think the way McDaniel gets fired is if he truly loses the locker room. Like if the locker room like looks at him and like gives up on him, that's how he gets fired. I think he clearly was like trying to change things, and I would say the last 4 weeks with Tua, without Tua, he clearly has tried to make a difference in the offense. Looked a lot more functional than it did the first handful of weeks into the season. But I do think it's still too early for all of the speculation. All right, you should do a video player on the videos of who you would have taken the first Barton and the other wide receiver. I think I'm gonna probably do videos on a lot of rookies. There was a few that I would probably take. I had Barton and Brian Thomas Jr. who you're talking about over Chop. I also would have preferred a trade back. Also, there was a few guys that I wanted that went right before the Dolphins pick, so they were gone. But yeah, I'll probably make a video on them as well. I'm probably going to do mostly Dolphins videos, obviously, but I like to make film breakdowns just on rookies because I like young guys and draft players. I like watching them play, see where they end up, how they end up playing out. Yeah. Verse was the good one. Yeah, and I think Verse has been the best of the edge rushers so far, right? And he's with the Rams, so we'll see him next week. Will be interesting. Yeah, Fatanu went. They also, I know like Byron Murphy's played pretty well for the Seahawks. He went before the Dolphins. Yeah, Verse. Verse was who I projected for the Dolphins to draft. That was who I was predicting. I think that was my guess, right? And my mock draft that I did, I had Verse, but Verse just went 2 picks before. And then Fatanu went a pick before. I don't know if Troy's played yet, though. I think I know he had an injury and he missed the start of the season. I don't know if he's back yet. I haven't watched at all. But yeah, definitely interesting. Boom. This. Boom. Okay. That is probably... Is Latu healthy? Yeah, Latu has been playing for the Colts. I think he's been pretty decent. He's been getting better and better. I don't think he's been like lights out, but he had a sack against us when we played him. Or the guy, one of the fourth Mason McCormick. Yeah, I haven't watched, but I thought I heard he hadn't been playing too well. But I don't know. I'm pretty sure they had some injuries and he had to start, but he's a 4th round rookie. It's not like the expectations are too high for him, so I don't know. Yeah, Latu had a sack against us. There were some clips I saw of him. He was playing pretty decent. I watched some film on Latu, but I haven't seen film on every rookie, so I don't know how everyone's been playing specifically. But yeah, that's probably end it for the stream. Thank you guys for watching. Watch out for some film breakdowns tomorrow. Probably a couple of them. I think tomorrow I'm going to have the defense. And I think I'm going to have an O-line film breakdown out tomorrow. Focusing on the whole offensive line unit. Obviously, specifically Armstead, Brewer, and I think Jackson, because those are your 3 best guys. We'll get some Eichenberg and Jones stuff in there too, but yeah. Thank you guys. Ryder, also, if you could do your top 5 or 10 vids in college, top 10, yeah. Oh yeah, I'll probably do some stuff like that.